God bless you and welcome to Texas Honda Channel. If you're new here, definitely click that subscribe button. So we've got Matt's B16 Turbo Civic here. We are going to be doing a catch can because his factory PCV stuff kind of all fell apart. It's all brittle and old and it needs updated. We're not going with a super fancy catch can, but we do have one over here. It's already taken apart, so I can kind of show you how it's going to work with this. But before we get started with this, if you guys are new here, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button and dropping a comment below. It really helps the channel grow. So we have a catch can here from Jackspania Racing. This is not a sponsored video. He actually paid for this.
Yep.
So don't think that we're just saying it's good. He got one of the cheaper ones just to use it because he doesn't require anything super fancy. He just, something's better than nothing, right? So the way this one's going to be set up, it's not going to be set up recirculating. It'll just be venting to atmosphere with the filter. You can recirculate this to increase vacuum in the crank pressure, which will help pull oil down through the oil return on the turbo. But he's not worried about all that. We're just going to get it set up. He has these little pieces right here, which go on the back of the block. We have to take the intake manifold off so you can see where these go. So I will be taking the manifold off just to show you where these go. And then we have the actual catch can stuff right here. Normally we put some steel wool at the bottom to kind of, absorb some of that when you get blow by, but we're not going to do that. We actually want to see the level. So we're not going to put the drain on it quite yet. I'm going to drive it around, see how much blow by this thing does have, and measure it, and then go from there, and then probably put that on. But it works pretty simple. You've got an in, you've got an out, and you've got an out. So when this part here is blocked, it goes in, goes down through here. It goes through the baffle right here, little filter, and then goes back up through the top, which will come out here. Or you can plug the top and then have the other 10AN fitting, which is right here. And you can recirculate that into the intake pipe on vacuum side. I need to make that very clear. Since this is turboed, you don't want it right here. You don't want it right there. You'll want it before the turbo where it sees vacuum, so that way it can pull and it doesn't see any boost pressure. So with that being said, we're going to get this back together and I'll show you exactly where we're going to put it. Moving over to the car, there's a perfect location for this tinier unit on this particular car. It can fit perfectly right there, and there's a bolt hole so it lines up good. Just move these wires out of the way and we can bolt it right there to that bolt hole. And that's also perfect because this piece will run to the back side of the block where the crank pressure will be released and go into here. So that's actually doesn't have very far to travel. It's a really good spot for it. So I'm going to get this bolted there, and then we have to take the intake manifold off and get the rest of it hooked up. So I'm going to go ahead and time elapse taking the intake manifold off. You know how to take an intake manifold off. If you don't, there's some bolts around the intake manifold and you remove them. It's not very hard. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll go over more. Alright, now that the intake manifold's off, I'm not sure if you can see that plug right there. That's one of the 10AN fittings that you can put in. We're not going to be putting one there, but we will be putting one back there. There's two of them, one there and one there. If you have a dual catch can setup, both lines would go into the catch can through those where the 10AN fittings will go. There's also that black canister box with the broken hose here. That is what we're basically bypassing that and going directly from there to the catch can, which will run directly up through here to that spot on the strut tower. So I need to get this black box off and then I can show you more. Okay, so there's only a few bolts that hold on the canister, and there's like a bracket here. Get that out of the way and you'll see there's a big hole down here. And then using a 14 millimeter Allen, put it right there, and it is pretty difficult to break loose, but once you get it loose, you'll be able to pull this out, and that's where the 10AN fitting will go. Also, real quick, I wanted to mention I got a plug. That is an 8th NPT plug, I believe. I had one of those laying around, and I just threaded it right into the hole to plug that off. That was where the vacuum line ran to the little black box. So forgot to mention that, so figured I'd mention it now. And these two holes are connected. I shine light through this one and it comes right out the bottom here. But we're going to be plugging this lower one up with the plug provided. All right, and here is the bolt next to the piece that's going in. Make sure to have that washer. I will have these linked in the description and the catch can used here. So that'll be going in this thing's place, and there's another one of these if you want to do the dual catch can line setup that can go on the other side, but he's not worried about doing the secondary one, plus this doesn't have a secondary port. So this will plug right where this went, the same way, just plugs right in there. Some of these have locks that hold it in. This one just plugs right in. It's that simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this screwed in and then get that plugged, and then I'll show you the rest. This just screws right in there. Make sure that washer's on. Make sure to get it nice and tight. And then we're going to put the plug in. Just give it a good tap, but don't be too hard on it. And now it's plugged and it's not coming out. All right, got the catch can there. It's mounted, that one bolt, and we've got it measured out. I used electrical tape. I gave it a little extra just so we have some, maneuverable room. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. Now the best way I found to cut this with what I have, scissors is not the good way. I have metal cutters, also not a good way, but this cutoff wheel cuts right through it like butter, and then we can put these on. We're going to use one of the straight ones and one of the curved ones, but I'm going to go ahead and get this cut. All right, I cut it, and as you can see, it's pretty clean cut. So I'm going to go ahead and get these on those pieces. Get this, do that. So if you haven't done this before, it's really pretty simple. Works a lot easier if you have a vise to do this in, which I do. I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration. I recommend putting electrical tape on there. Keeps all the wires from poking up. Then you'll slide this piece right here, right over like that. Get it all the way up in there to where it stops right at the bottom of those threads. Don't know if you can see that. And then you just tighten this piece on there. And as you can see, looks pretty good. All right, now we're just gonna go ahead and thread this on, get it nice and tightened, and get the other end connected to the catch can. Now on the catch can, it does say in, so this is the in. So the output from the engine will go into the catch can. Make sure to read, because on this one it's labeled out and in. This one would go out to before the turbo inlet like I showed earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten this down, and then the catch can is officially installed. All right, got it back together, and it looks pretty stealthy in here. It's over here. You can see the line runs down. You can see it right down through there, goes right in. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. So that'll definitely help for sure. The factory one wasn't really doing much. And this one has a much larger port, so it'll be able to breathe better. It wasn't having any issues, but that line was broke and he just wanted to get it taken care of. So there it is. It's definitely a really nice setup. And if you guys want to see a build breakdown, having Matt explain exactly what's done. He's had this for like 10 or 11 years and he's put a lot of work into it. This thing rides like stock, but it has aftermarket suspension, has solid mounts, but it doesn't vibrate inside. Like, he can go over all those details. If you guys want to know that information, let me know and we'll do a little interview and ask him about his build. If you guys didn't see from the previous video, got a 4-piston engine from top to bottom. It's all brand new, and this is a 1200 horsepower engine with the proper tune and turbo and all that stuff. Very huge ports and seat in there. It's been CNC'd, has new valves, cams, springs, retainers, like from top to bottom. Everything's done by 4-piston. It's not just a valve cover on a block or just a head. It's the whole thing. Even has a Moroso oil pan, and it's still in the crate. It's never been taken out. I got this in the trade deal with the RSX. So the RSX is gone, but I now have an EP3 and a 4-piston engine. And I really wanted to put it in, but we need some financial relief. So we're actually going to be selling this. This thing costs over $15,000. So I'm going to be selling it for right around $14,000, $15,000. And it's a fully built drag car engine. The financial relief from selling this will invest into our future, where we can get property outside city limits. That way I can put up a shop and actually get to work working on paint jobs and doing my bed lining, because I want to start a bed lining business in the future. Bed lining things. This whole car is bed lined. It's been on here for two or 3 years now. Still looks really good. It's held up great. It doesn't weigh the car down. We can go over those details on my channel, More Motorsports Garage. All the information's over there, and I'll link it in the description. But this 4-piston engine is a huge blessing. So a good friend, Eddie, if you didn't see the previous videos, traded me this engine, which is brand new and never been used, for the RSX, and he gave me the EP3, which I need to do some work to, but I'm okay with that. I knew it needed some work, but it's really not too bad. So I got an EP3 plus that engine, plus some cash on top, got it tagged and everything the same day, and he's giving me more cash on top. So it's a really, really good deal. We needed this financial break. We've been praying for one. Nothing's been happening, but pray without ceasing, and keep praying. Pray until something happens. So that's exactly what I did, and kept praying, and then one day it just blew up. I have a whole testimony on that. It's crazy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just rambling on now, but it's pretty simple to install this catch can. The hardest part is taking the intake manifold off, which isn't that hard. There's just a bunch of bolts or nuts, and then take some fuel lines off, and it's good to go. But that is basically it. I'll start it up so you guys can hear it. But it was a belt squeal. This thing runs so good. But there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please share, drop a comment, hit that like button, and stay tuned for more, because if God wills, we will have more. So I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. But before I do, I wanted to mention there will be a free Gideon Bible download in the description for Apple or Android. Everyone should know the Word of God, what Jesus came to do. He came to save the sinner and set the captive free. He died for you and me, went up to that cross, died and defeated death, 3 days later rose from the grave, and now has the keys to death. Anyone who believes in his finished work at the cross will be saved. If you have addiction or bondage or anything that is holding you down, or you don't feel loved, God says he loves you, so much so that he gave his only begotten son. And we are saved by grace through faith, lest any man should boast. So it's not of our works, it's of our faith in Jesus and what he did. So I just wanted to let you guys know the good news, that everyone has a chance. So repent, turn from your sin, and trust in the Lord. But that is basically it for this video. And until next time, God bless, stay safe, stay awesome.